23.
24.
24. How? I've read 3 this week.
I do not count books with pictures.
Picture.
25. 26.
Audiobooks. That's cheating.
We call it strategic reading. Wait, they've gotten too far ahead. There's a great gap in our Goodreads scores. Too far for swords to reach.
Then you'll have to toss me.
What?
I cannot skim the distance, and I will not summarize the plot. You'll have to toss me.
You're sure?
Just don't tell the kiddos.
This year's big summer read is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Join us for this epic quest. Read along, send us your thoughts, your theories, all your precious insights.
This is Free Zone Radio.
From Free Zone Radio, I'm Jason Crockett, and this is Second Stage. This week is Mother's Day, and we are providing a 2-episode gift to mothers everywhere. 2 episodes that reconsider the impact, the humor, and the role of mothers in our lives. In this episode, we take a drive with Alfred Uhry's play-turned-famous movie, Driving Miss Daisy. The 1987 play originated off-Broadway and quickly won the 1988 Pulitzer Prize for Drama. From there, Hollywood again snapped up another winner, casting it with the legendary Jessica Tandy, Morgan Freeman, and Dan Aykroyd. The play traces the evolving friendship between Daisy Worthen, an aging Jewish widow in Atlanta, and Hoke Colburn, the black driver hired by her son. The play chronicles the decades of American history that pass as the backdrop of their developing friendship. What begins as grouchy resistance on Daisy's part slowly thaws into a complicated, quietly profound bond shaped by their routine and the social realities around them. It's not an especially complicated play, and it doesn't feature exceptionally complicated dialogue or lengthy artful sentences. But Uhry's play earned its Pulitzer, and I believe it still stands as an example of late 20th century American drama. It foregrounds more of that intimate, character-driven storytelling, while lightly engaging race, aging, and dignity without maudlin spectacle. His restrained structure and resilience on the performance of Daisy and Hoke make it especially suited for smaller productions, and, I would argue, close study in a high school classroom. As with our other episode this weekend, we're featuring great drama that celebrates the moms in our life. While Miss Daisy is not an easy mother, the play does give us a lighthearted, sometimes comedic work that recognizes just how fortunate we are to have our mothers. We know that not everyone is as lucky as my co-hosts and I are to have these moms. Whether or not you are a mom, or whether or not you've had a good mom in your life, I hope you remember just how valuable your life can be for those who come after you. You may have been denied a good mother or father figure, but like Miss Daisy, who was a classroom teacher and a school mom to Atlanta's kids, you can still be that person for the people to come. I'm joined here by Drew Haston and our school librarian, Jaclyn Broyles. Together, we'll take a drive through whether or not the play still has its chops and whether it's worth featuring in the classroom.
What do I do?
No, you're going to be doing all the heavy lifting for this.
No.
Hey, it's really, we're just talking.
If we were sitting at lunch or if we were...
Well, just my instant feeling. I didn't remember it ending that way. And then going through my own life right now, I have elderly families who are, going through those sorts of things. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But then it also reminded me that this is just a age-old repetition of life, that you take care and you kind of help where you can, and then there's always someone in your life who's been like, okay, a constant. Yeah. So whether it be their spouse or a friend or a child, you're always trying to get them to the next phase. And then when that phase ends, it's like, gut-wrenching. For me, it was.
No, I
But
agree.
I'm an emotional person, so that was, I didn't remember it ending that way.
So you had seen the movie
Yes,
before?
years ago, probably when 90s,
Right.
I would say, and when all the hype of it coming out and previews and all those sorts of things. And I was young, so I didn't have a connection to it of realizing, okay, that's eventually going to happen to my parents or my grandparents, and then it ultimately did.
Yeah.
So, what about y'all?
Have you ever watched this?
I watched that play on YouTube with Angela Lansbury and James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
I've not watched the movie though, but I don't know that I need to after watching that. So
Only, I would say only just because what does a different actress bring to it?
Yeah.
What does a new person bring to Miss Daisy or
Yeah.
Hoke? That
I feel like it would be really hard to replicate or improve the actresses we know that have played her before. I think you'd really have to just be phenomenal.
Yeah.
Because those are two very well-known actresses that have gone through the ringer of acting and stage and movies. It's like you already know them as an actress, but then you also know this character, and they can pull that character out.
Yeah.
So when y'all are reading it, do you use the voice like?
A Miss Daisy voice?
Yeah. I mean, because as
Like
I'm
the
reading the
Southern?
Hulk, I mean, I kind of.
Yeah. Well, Hoke is written, I feel like, in a very dialectical way,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Do you think Miss Daisy's lines have to be read in a...
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm reading To Kill a Mockingbird.
can you do it?
Well, I mean, I'd have to have something,
Okay.
but yeah. I mean, why, Booley, what a thing to say. I'm not prejudiced. And I mean, that's how I read the whole thing to myself. Did y'all not?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
This goes into something Mary Beth and I have talked about though, is that like that Southern Georgia accent, where
Yeah.
it's like, I declare. Is that even real? Because I've never
Yes.
heard someone speak like that. But Mary Beth swears there's a guy that comes into Farm Bureau who talks like that all the time.
Yes, it's real. You need to go down to Southern Georgia and talk to them. But I'm just saying, even in Tennessee, I feel like you would read that play here in Alabama and Georgia differently than if we were up north.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
because they're not used to that dialect.
Yeah.
Whereas when they run into us in the elevator, they're like, "You're from Tennessee." I'm like, "Yes. Yes, I am."
Well, that's another question I kind of want to have too is, okay, so we like this play, and Driving Miss Daisy kind of fits in our area. Do you think New Yorkers, do you think Ohioans, do you think Minnesotans like a play like Driving Miss Daisy?
I feel like people in New York who probably use drivers a lot could connect to it, or the wealthy, or because, or even if I'm in a taxi, and I want to be on that same route every day and I have that same driver, I've already built a relationship with that person, or could. And so I trust them to get me where I want to go, or be on time, or know the fastest route. But then, in Minnesota, I'm probably not taking a taxi or a chauffeur. I'm driving myself there. So they're missing out on a cultural connection. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah. My first thought was that they're missing out on the cultural connection of the segregated time period. I mean, I know the whole country was going through the 50s and the 60s,
Right.
and we'd been through the Civil War, way before that. But still, I feel like it's not going to be so uncommon in Deep South to be able to picture, here's this older gentrified white lady who has black servants who, are not slaves by any means, but still there's a class disparity between them.
Right.
And there's a distance that we're expecting at first. And part of me just wonders, is that like a caricature to people in Minnesota that they expect,
Could
well,
be.
that's what Georgians are like?
Yeah.
But
I
it doesn't
think
really,
so.
I don't know that they would really, I don't know, would they embrace a play like Driving Miss Daisy?
Well, I think Jaclyn has already said one thing that we all can connect with is when our family gets older and we have to deal with that some sorts. I've not gotten there yet with my parents, but it's not far away. And we're going to have to, Mary Beth and I already are talking about what are we going to do with this, and Mary Beth's an only child, and on her dad's side of the family, her whole family's gone. So I think we're going to end up having to look after her aunt, and so we're already discussing it. But also on the racial side of things too, I think that we all can connect with that because I think it's really easy to point out our problems in the South, but we all in this country have problems with that. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you look at it with that open mind, you can see that because that's what for men you've got an African American tabernacle got bombed, mm-hmm. and he's kind of like, it's the same people that's coming after me, mm-hmm. and she refuses to believe that. And that's what I was trying to explain. I watched this with Annie. She ended up watching it with me, so she was asking a ton of questions. And that was something I was trying to explain to her was like, we all could be prejudiced against each other for something. Mm-hmm. That's what I think we all can connect. So I think that they could if they were willing to.
Yeah. So I think on the surface, a play like Driving Miss Daisy, you see black and white. You see black driver, white old lady. So obviously it's a story about race. But that nowhere near captivates me like it is the story about appreciating the elderly, and also them as older people learning to appreciate each other. He's not supposed to be quite as old as she is.
Right.
But even when he's getting hired by Booley, says, nowadays they're hiring young when they're hiring at all.
Yeah.
So they both have the old age problem. And we should be more cognizant of that. We should be more.
And I think, this is very timely for me because I have, my mom has her brother and her sister-in-law, which are 12 years older than her. So they're in their late to mid-80s, and they're both going through a health crisis right now. So mom is more like having to take care of them. Well, and I'm worried about my mom and trying to help her because she's not as young as she wants or thinks she is. So, but one of them had a stroke, and she said it just kind of broke my heart because he realized what he wasn't able to do.
Yeah.
And I think with any older person, with Miss Daisy, she realized she couldn't drive anymore. Or she didn't want to admit that
she didn't want to admit,
She didn't want to let go of that independence because she thought she was as fast as a whip and she could do anything that she wanted hard. And even I was trying to, I was like, buddy, at the same time, because my aunts also are not as mobile as they used to be. And I was trying to explain, it's our job to kind of help where we can. And, but I think realizing that they're not physically able or mentally able to do things as quick as they used to be able to, or at all, really. Yeah. And I think with Miss Daisy, she didn't want to let that go.
Yeah.
Because she had been independent, and she had been a Class C lady, and she thought, well, you're not going to take that away from me, sort of thing, which I probably will do the same.
Yeah.
Just because men and women both like to do things their way, and they're kind of set in their routine. So if something does it bother y'all to get out of routine?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
So if something goes astray and we're like, oh, goodness. So we have to back up and punt again. Mm-hmm. And, when you're 70s and 80s, you don't really want to.
Yeah.
You want it done right then.
One of my aunts is also in that same kind of position with her eyesight, which has been failing for years. She insists, well, I can still see. Traffic light, but you don't know what
color is that traffic light
right now. So it's like, I'm insisting, which she's not my mom, but she is like my mom, right? And it's like, you're a doodle, mama. I can drive you. I can come by here. And it's like, no, I don't need nothing. But you still insist you should be able to drive. No.
No. But you want to protect them, too. And you want to kind of give them a little bit of freedom. Like, hey, I'll take you to the store.
Yeah.
And I'll wait in the car if you want to go do your own thing. Or if you want to have a friend to go with you, I can pick them up, too. Or we can go to lunch. But, can't just send you out there.
Well, another thing for Daisy is that she is so conscious of appearances and the optics of things, and that her friends still drive.
Yeah.
And she hates the idea of looking like she's wealthy.
Right.
And she does not want to put on airs or any of
Well,
that.
she keeps referencing her childhood,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and she wants that to be a point of, well, I came from this background, so that
Yeah.
doesn't make me any different.
Yeah.
And I think we can kind of live by that same thing of we all put our pants on the same way,
Mm-hmm.
you know, no matter whether we grew up poor or wealthy or middle class or however it may be. But she doesn't want anyone else to think that she is highfalutin, if that makes sense.
I feel like, though, we were talking about Southern culture. Is that not like a Southern thing to do?
But you would think that some people would want, like some people want you to
Yeah.
think that they're
Yep.
living the life. And then others keep that hidden and they want you to think they're just
Yeah.
a regular Joe.
Yeah.
So I think that's however they've been brought up to either know their wealth or know their, however they're poor.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that in us being parents and teachers is to say, hey, it doesn't really matter where you come from because you all have an opportunity
Yeah.
to be wealthy or whatever you choose.
Whatever you choose.
Yeah. That was one of the quotes I'd pulled out was when Hoke is like, but Miss Daisy, you is rich. And she insists, no, I'm not. Nobody can say I put on airs. On Forsyth Street, we made many meals out of grits and gravy. I have done without plenty of times. I like grits and gravy too.
I do too. Well,
But I also grew up in that kind of childhood where, you know, I grew up on Forsyth Street too.
yeah. Did you make cinnamon toast?
On slices of bread
Yeah,
with a
it was
pat of
white
butter and
bread.
cinnamon
Yeah.
piece of bread and a little bit of a
Sure thing or not.
I don't know. It was a poor thing for me, but
It's poverty culture.
Well,
but I mean, so much of that
but
is
then
right.
that could have also been a savings hack that your
Yeah.
mom was like, well, we don't really need to buy that.
We got
don't know.
Pizza Hut at home.
Okay,
And then you
so
pull out the
with
loaf
y'all as
bread.
parents, how often have you turned into your parents? Are like, no, we
Oh
have food at home.
man! Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
it's
eating-
a fighting urge because I'm like,
Yes.
I really want that too.
Eating out is my weakness, so it's hard sometimes when the kids are like, "Let's just go to McDonald's."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay." So,
Yeah.
No, I'm like, no, I have food prepared already.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I really want that too, buddy.
I think I'm a lot weaker about that than April is. She's a lot better about that. But for my parents, it was also a scheduling thing.
Right,
Because my mom worked third shift.
Right.
And my stepdad worked during the day. So it's like we don't have time to go out as a family because I'm trying to work and he's trying to work. And
Right.
I got to get you fed and out to school and you got to take care of yourself.
I totally agree. I mean, and we were active teenagers and like ball games and meetings
Yeah.
and all the things. So we ate out. I mean,
Yeah.
fast food.
You had
yeah.
also mentioned that that this is a Southern thing. I was reminded of the short story "A Rose for Emily," when I think it's the very first paragraph, Faulkner is describing this dignified Southern lady that used to be Miss Emily, and he says that she was a tradition, a duty, and a care. And I kind of feel the same way about Miss Daisy, but really not because she was the woman of Atlanta. She's not. But because she's mama. And I feel like that's also an expectation. I'm not going to say it's only held in the South, but it is an expectation that family is your tradition, it's your duty, and it's your care. That you should be able to care for mama. You should be able to care for them as they get older and not just, well, they can take care of themselves.
well, also like to make them comfortable in their own at their. What am I trying to say? At their like what they want. Does that make sense? Because I know that I've talked to you, Mary Beth and I have talked about moving and where could we go and things like that. And it always comes back to the same thing. Mary Beth is like, well, I've got to take care of these people and I need them to be at home. And it's like, the other day I was like, well, why can't this person come with us at that time? Well, no. Why would you? No.
Well, see, like
So
my
it-
dad is going blind in one eye, and at one point he had thought about selling his home, and I said, "Well, Daddy, at one point you may be blind, and you've lived in this home for 40 years, so you could navigate it without sight, because of memory.
Yeah.
So if he were to move, like what she's thinking, we don't want to take them out of their
Yeah, their
environment,
bubble. Yeah. Yeah.
which I get, and they have a connection to that place. So like with Miss Daisy, she may not be highfalutin anymore or like the socialite, but she might be feeling, well, I'm not who I used to be, sort of thing. Like, I may not look the way I used to look. And she may have an insecurity about that. And then having a driver would just add on to that if she thought people were talking about her. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does.
Like, I think as a female, you worry about those things already of how do I appear.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of mother am I? What kind of, I'm working. Do they think I'm working too much? Do they think I'm not working? Those thoughts just go through your head, whether you believe them or not, but the thought's always there of, what do they think?
Yeah.
You kind of want to get rid of it, but maybe, hopefully it makes you be better. What was I saying?
He had your volume dialed up.
Oh, wait.
Okay, that's much better.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. What was I saying?
There's a reason we're not monetized yet. I forgot because I was panicking.
Oh, come on. We just told ourselves to remember.
I know. Who are we talking about?
Oh, because he wrote it in half an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that he had based the characters off of people in his family.
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
And he said, of course, he changed the names and such. But he said there were real people, but I used only their names in creating the 3 characters. And I wanted to use names that seemed particular to Atlanta, that the Atlanta he grew up in. It's little bits and pieces of his childhood, which I think we can all connect to, like the grits and the gravy, the Southern accent. Growing up, part of my family was from, we know Sparta, like this part of the country. And then my other side of the family is from this part of the country that moved to the city limits later on in the 70s. So, like, I feel like they still changed from growing up in the country where the milk truck would come through to being able to go to the store, sort of thing. My daddy went to elementary school in a church building. My mom went to elementary school in a school building. Dad had a lady who cooked the lunch. One lady cooked the whole lunch for everybody. And she had a cafeteria. So, like, just even there, I have a cultural difference just within my family.
Yeah.
So, I think parts of Atlanta were probably more elite, more, we know that there's cultural differences and socioeconomic differences, but just being miles apart even could create a difference. Yeah. And she really wants us to remember where she grew up.
Yeah.
And with him, he was drawing bits and pieces of his childhood. So hopefully that was part of him saying, I want you to know a little bit about my history too. Does that make, did you make that connection?
I just think it's crazy that this was a 3-hour draft.
Yeah.
3 hours, you came up with a play that winds up being a hit American movie, has been on stages worldwide. 3 hours? That's crazy.
I don't know if that's the exact time. I just know that it was like incredibly short amount.
Right.
Yeah, it was like I said, he was doing a workshop. I know he did it within a day. And so.
But then it's been a timeless.
Yeah.
I feel like.
Well, you get writers like Uhry, who did this in half a day, Zora Neale Hurston, who wrote Their Eyes Are Watching God in 6 weeks. Yeah. And these writers come up with these things in, that's a lot of time, I know, but frankly, no time. How do you do that? And
Brilliant.
It's amazing.
I think, though, he's pulled from his family, and you're talking about Hurston, and she was pulling from an experience in her life because she was going through like a love crisis and had gone to Haiti to kind of decompress and I guess distract herself. And kind of her situation that she had going on in Florida at the time, she wrote about that. And I think that, it goes back to, I kind of keep referencing this a lot, but it goes back to when we talked about Troy Smith, and he had talked about how I have bits and pieces of myself in every book that I've written. Yeah. And he said, if you haven't read my books, you don't truly know me. And I think that these authors are just expressing themselves, and these characters are authentic to us because they are real people. Yeah. Who, if I told Mary Beth last night on the way home from Knoxville, I said something like her mom, and we got to talking about like something her mom was saying. her mom was like gracious enough to help us fix our sink faucets, because you guys know that I'm not handy. And someone called her on the phone from her church, and she had it on speaker while she was working, and they were like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "Oh, I'm helping Mary Beth fix the faucet." And then she kind of paused and she goes, "Well, actually, she's helping me fix the faucet." And I told Mary Beth, I was like, she couldn't take that, could she? And then I told her, like, if I wrote a book about your mom, it would be the funniest book ever. But it would also be easy to pull from that because it's like a real person.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I'm not completely inventing. And I don't know, do you think like even we as adults and like well-read people, we fall into that trap of thinking that these characters are just whipped up out of thin air and just shot onto a page like, there it is. Yeah. I just think that maybe that's what it is just real people, real situations. Yeah. And you can put that, if you're a good writer, you can put that into words, and maybe it doesn't take that long if you're like willing to. I think that's another thing too, is are you willing to just put down onto paper knowing that your mom might be reading this? And
I've even thought about doing this. I'm like, oh gosh,
right. Yeah. No,
if
you're
I
right.
said something that would offend them.
Yeah. You're right.
But I think it's all connection.
Our out of the listeners of our podcast, it's me and him.
He said it's his mom.
And my mom.
And his mom. That's why he's not said anything about his mom yet.
But as my dad gets older, and even my mom, I catch myself wanting to film them.
Oh.
Yes.
Because my daddy's a good storyteller. And now it may not all be true, but
Stop right.
he's a good storyteller. Like, even just events that has happened in his life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to remember him telling me that story, not someone else. Does that make
I literally just encouraged my seniors to do that because we're doing Beowulf and the whole
and that
oral
kinda goes with
tradition,
your oral,
right?
oral
and I was
history.
telling them, your kids might remember your parents, but their kids won't.
No.
And that's going to be weird because you grew up. How do they not know these people?
Right.
Because they weren't alive when they were alive. And if you don't record them, they'll never know anything about them other than the stories that maybe you pass on about them. Right. Like my grandpa Crockett was always sitting in the corner of his house on his chair. He always had his guitar. He had his pile of stuff beside him. He had his weight, whatever. And he was always, like Grandpa was always, my Grandpa Crockett. Record him and have him on video doing all of these things.
Right.
My kids wouldn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So.
And I totally get that because even these high school students have Warrior Media documenting everything they do. Whereas when we were in school, we were lucky to have somebody with a camcorder. Does that make sense?
But in our childhood, maybe we were different here, but we had photo albums.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And I remember sitting in the floor looking through photo albums a lot. And so there's my great-grandpa, and there's so-and-so, my cousin in Indiana, and whatever. But nowadays, our phones are just the only place where our pictures are, or in the cloud.
Right.
So if I don't print those out, if I don't have
I was going to say,
whatever.
when was the last time y'all printed pictures out?
Right.
Well, I printed off a book for Annie when she was born. It was like her first 4 months, I think. And I had plans to do that. And of course, you didn't follow through with that. But I know that it's in my bookshelf, and Hollis and Hazel have found it. And Hazel and Annie look so much alike that Hazel thinks it's her.
Okay,
But-
well, I've lived that life.
And
My
Hollis,
older sister
Yeah.
has like 6 photo albums of her childhood. I have one.
Oh, see, mine's the
Because I was the
opposite.
second child. So I was determined I was not going to do that to my second son.
Yeah.
So I've made a yearbook of them each year.
Yeah.
That's
just with
awesome.
uploaded photos. And it's a book, but I don't print out pictures anymore.
Yeah.
Just because everything's right here on my phone.
Unless it's something we're putting on the wall or a frame or something
right.
like that.
Like an enlarged picture
Yeah.
or whatever.
Mine was just me until December 6th, 1990, and then it's
And then your brother came on. I forgot all about
It's
you.
the opposite.
But I don't know. Okay, so I was going to ask about Florine. What do y'all
Yes.
think about Florine?
So the play gives us 3 characters. We get Daisy, Booley, and Hope.
Okay.
But other than that, like we have characters in the background who are like invisible on stage, and yet they really are influential in the play.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them's Booley's wife, Florine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
what do you think about her?
Well, I am a daughter-in-law, and so I catch myself like thinking, okay, is that how I would respond to my mama versus is that how I need to respond to his mama? Because I want to be, but then I also know that I grew up different. And I think a daughter to a mom is different than a son to a mom.
I was about to say, you have 2 sons, so
I do.
You
So
will
I
be
have-
Miss Daisy one day.
I have to look at it as how do I want to be treated? So I include them and her in everything because I don't want to be left out as the husband's mama. I don't want to be her.
Well, Daisy's not left. Like, they reach out to her.
But now, like, you think, okay, well, I know she's going to call her mama first. Like, I'm talking about my kids' wives.
Yeah.
So, like, I'll even call her for recipes. I'm like, hey, I need to know how you make this, or what would you do, or just because I want that connection.
Yeah.
But I don't know that Miss Daisy and Florine have that connection.
No.
And I think that may be the times, too. And then part of Florine's, what kind of word am I looking for? I don't know.
Well, she's also what is she? Isn't she Presbyterian or Methodist or something?
She's
Isn't she Presbyterian?
Yeah. Well, because Daisy is Jewish, and that's one of the things she says. Oh, Florine must be in heaven on earth getting ready to go to one of these parties. Why? And how dare they? Daisy looks down at Florine so much because Florine is a bit pretentious, I think. I think she is. Like, she's wanting to be a society woman.
Oh, yeah.
And Daisy, we've already said, was not. Daisy was a school teacher. She grew up poor. Right. If we've got money, I don't really live that life. But Florine, she's the next generation, and she wants to be that Atlanta society woman.
She wants to prance around, and people wonder who she is, sort of thing.
They're a Jewish family, and they're celebrating a Christmas party. Not because they are celebrating Christmas, but because it's a society party. And Mama, you need to come to it. And I love her line when she's getting out and he's like, oh, they know you're here. Mr. Booley turned up the Wi-Fi or turned up the hi-fi. And she says, oh, I hope I don't spit up.
Well, I like when she is pretending to sing like her in the car on the way over. Also, though, she gives Hope that gift, and she's like, now this isn't a Christmas present because I am a Jew.
We don't do that. Yeah. We don't do that. I think another layer to it is, it's just, maybe it's a stereotype, maybe it's not, is that your kid's person, I don't know that they ever quite live up to your standards. Maybe they do, but I don't know that they ever quite. I can say this, my son is engaged to a wonderful girl. I adore her. She meets my standards. I adore her. My daughter, I don't know that she has ever or will ever bring home a guy that is meeting my standards.
But see, that goes into what we're talking about, though. That's dad and daughter.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
such
mom
a
and
different
son,
dynamic.
right?
It really is.
Yeah.
Because there's things I think, well, if we had a daughter, how would my husband handle this? Versus how would I handle it? Because I would probably be harder on her than he would. Yeah. Whereas with the boys, he's harder on them than I am because I'm like, oh, they're my babies. Well, and he's like trying to make them men. And I'm like, I get that, but I need them to have a little bit of sensitivity. And he's like, no. And I'm like, oh, come on.
You've got other invisible characters in here, too. You've got Idella, who's the housemaid.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And made me sad when she passed, too.
Right?
Because I felt like she was not mentioned a lot, but I knew she was there.
How about that? That she is a presence that is there, and you never see her.
And I feel like we all have that person.
I feel like there are people in this building that are like that, that you just kind of rely on, you take for granted that they're here, but you may not see them much during the day.
But it would change our lives if something happened to them.
It's the very first line of the play is when Miss Daisy is walking in and she's talking to Idella somewhere out there in the house right now.
Yeah.
And then finally when Daisy and Hoke are becoming friends and they're reminiscing about how Idella was. Yeah. You also get Hoke's daughter and granddaughter, who they do appear in the movie. You get to see his granddaughter at the very end. But it's just another one of these Hoke has a life outside of you, Miss Daisy. And that's like Calpurnia in To Kill a Mockingbird, how I have a church outside of this family. I have a family outside this family. But we take a lot of that for granted.
Yeah. I hadn't made that connection with her and Calpurnia.
One thing about Florine in the preface, though, I don't know if you notice or remember that, Jaclyn, but Uhry says in it that Florine, he feels like maybe the most popular character in the play. He said he gets the most questions about Florine, and he just intended her to kind of just be Billy's wife. Like, he didn't intend for her to be this character, but she grew into this.
It says, I have received many from mail and in person that they know Florine. She is their aunt, their cousin, their old friend from home, etc. But who was she really? And he says, I'll never tell.
Oh,
Wink. Oink,
You know,
oink.
like, we're all getting the connection and the familiarity, but he's like, I'm going to hold that out just for another time or two.
I watched the movie version of it with April and Atticus the other night. Yeah. And while watching it, I was like, I know this movie, but then I was watching it and I was like, I don't know. Have I actually ever seen it? I have no memory of this movie. I don't know. But April and Atticus had seen it all the way before. But I think that just also is another comment to whether this is a highly literary play or not. It has entered American media, like, Driving Miss Daisy. Like, if you're getting in the car and somebody gets in the back seat,
how often do you reference
you're going to make
it?
a Driving Miss Daisy
Yeah.
joke, whether you've ever seen this movie or not. But Jessica Tandy playing Miss Daisy, it's kind of hard for me to picture anybody other than Jessica Tandy. And I know you watched the Angela Lansbury version, and I think she did a great job with that too. Dana Ivey was the first one to play her in the off-Broadway 1987 one, but you also got people like Vanessa Redgrave and some others. A lot of people have played their own version of Miss Daisy. But I still kind of think I like the Jessica Tandy one.
I think I like Jessica, too.
She just seems like a no-nonsense, I came from the salt of the earth, and there's a hard streak in me that needs to warm up a little bit.
But even connecting it to a different, like, Still Magnolias, could you ever see anybody else playing Weezer?
No.
No, like, you cannot replicate that.
I literally told Sarah Kate the other day I could not imagine anybody playing Truvy other than Dolly Parton.
No,
I can't
never.
imagine it.
So, and I think that's our brain chemistry of seeing a character.
Yeah.
Like an actor playing a character, and that's who we've thought of the whole time.
Right.
Like we've envisioned it being this person, and then we actually see it. So that's the connection we make.
You also get Morgan Freeman as Hope.
Gosh, yeah.
And I think it's kind of hard to pick anybody other than, except
Just because his voice.
James Earl Jones.
Oh, no. I
you
like
get
his
James
voice,
Earl
too.
Jones as Hope too in the one with Angela Lansbury and Vanessa Redgrave. He was Hoke in both of those. Yeah.
I kind of envision Freeman, though. I imagine this tall and lanky, like, gentleman coming in the house sort of thing.
If we're talking about how performance changes things, I do think that's one thing that makes me prefer the movie is that when you're on stage, you have to like pitch your voice out to an entire theater. So Lansbury and Jones, I feel like are both kind of shouting when I watch it because they've got to get that voice out there. They're not wearing lapel mics or anything like that. But in a movie version, you've got boom mics and you've got microphones and sound editing everywhere. So nobody has to shout. You can be way more conversational. It felt more authentic watching the movie version to see their interactions and conversation.
And then movies, you, of course, have editing, and they've reshot each scene or whatever. With a screenplay, or not a screenplay, but a play, you're getting the raw interactions.
Two other things.
Body language, that sort of thing.
Oh, absolutely. Two other things that made me appreciate that movie version when they are on the road trip to Alabama to go to the birthday party for her old 90-something-year-old uncle. And they pull over and they're eating. She's reminiscing about the first time she ever went to the Gulf of Mexico, and she dipped her fingertip in and tasted the salt water.
In the Gulf of Mexico.
In the Gulf of Mexico. And she gets wistful. She gets nostalgic, and she even tears up a little bit about it. It's supposed to be, here's this lady she's so far gone from that childhood, but she's still the same person. And Jessica Tandy tears up a little bit with it. The other thing was whenever she's at the cemetery, we take care of our family cemeteries. We're not going to hire it out to somebody. And she wants him to go put flowers on the Bauer grave and realizes he can't read.
Right.
There is a version of it that I think it might have been Angela Lansbury's where she's kind of just like, all silly through it. But I didn't like the way they interacted in that part. Jessica Tandy has I don't think that's funny. Right. And when Hoke tries to play it off, he's like, I just can't. She says, I have taught hundreds of the stupidest children in this world. And those kids could read. You can definitely read.
Right.
And I love
and then
how
she teaches him right
she
there.
slips into teacher voice.
Right.
How many of us as veteran teachers just suddenly slip? Jaclyn, you do this too.
I do it.
You slip into mama voice. You slip into teacher voice.
I do.
Because
As
that's
you
what
said
good
that, I
people
was
do.
like,
That's what good teachers do.
Well,
And I love that she does that. She appreciates the humanity in him there.
Yeah. But then she wants him to be able to do. Like, she wants him to take that away from their interaction.
Yeah.
And still, but then what do you think? Why was she still putting flowers on the other person's grave?
Well, because they couldn't get out there.
Right. It was still part of her compassion for others.
That's right.
And he was like, really? Why?
Yeah.
But then I think that shows a sensitive part of her where the exterior's harsh, but it's like she still cares too.
I was telling Drew that the other day that I know Memorial Day is everywhere in the United States, but here in the South, we also call it decoration.
Oh, yeah.
And I love decoration. I love getting to go with my aunts as a child, and now taking my kids out to the cemeteries and getting to reconnect with your family.
When was the last family reunion y'all went to?
Oh, gosh.
Well, it was supposed to be this past summer because we're supposed to do Crockett Cookout every year, but
Is
that's
that
kind of a
just
sore
like your
spot
extended
right now.
family, or are we getting into
Well,
your dad and mom's second and third cousins and their kids?
Back in the 80s, it was.
Yeah.
They would all come down from Chicago and
Right.
everywhere.
Michigan was where my family was coming from.
I had a cousin who lived in San Antonio, Texas, named David Crockett. And Davy Crockett always came we'd have a cookout at Pickett State Park.
Okay.
But then, in the late 90s and 2000s,
Did you just say he was from San Antonio, Texas?
He literally lived in San Antonio, Texas, and his name is David Crockett. Had to take his name out of the phone book because getting crank calls all the time.
Fair enough. He can't blame people for that.
But nowadays,
Turns out, when you wrote him a letter, it was the address was the Alamo. He's been living there this whole time.
But those branches of family I don't see so much anymore, and now it's hard to get just the cousins and the aunts and uncles
definitely
together.
Harder.
Because this past year it was like, well, we've got this. Well, we've got this. Crockett Cookout is always on the Saturday before Memorial Day. It is always on that Saturday.
Okay.
I don't know. That's a sore spot for me.
I was going to say something when you started talking about decoration. It'll come back to me. I don't know.
I love it. It's one of my favorite times of year because you get to go out and it's that same sort of tradition and duty and care. It's that heritage of here's where your granddaddy's buried. And it's not even just so declarative of, well, here's where your grandpa's buried. It's just, hey, grandpa's over there. Go put this on his. And it becomes a time where we just slip into telling stories about, oh, well, that's your cousin so-and-so. And, oh, this one was related to so and blah, blah, blah. I just love it. It's a family coming together.
Do you think people not in the South explain things like that? I don't feel like they probably do those activities.
I don't know.
I can't tell you because I never.
I don't want to generalize.
Yeah.
I don't want to generalize.
I feel like they use their cemeteries for drinking.
But then I feel like we're really thankful to have cemeteries like ours.
Yeah.
Because I feel like in a big city that
I'm thankful for it.
Yeah. I don't feel like there's a lot of walking space or places to congregate to have a celebration or something like that.
Well,
I don't know that they do those types of things.
I know this is going to be weird, but in my mom and dad's backyard, we have 3 people buried.
Oh, from where y'all purchased the land?
Yeah, no.
Are they your family?
Family.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so that's something we've talked about is Mary Beth and I were talking like we are locked in here,
Yeah.
you know, And then like,
You try to get out.
yeah, it's not gonna work. I've been telling the kids, run. When you hit 18,
But
run.
do you not think of when they are getting married and then you're older and then they start creating families that you're going to want them close?
Oh, Jaclyn, we don't have enough time on this podcast to talk about this.
Okay,
That's a
well,
lot- that's
I
a
don't
lot.
want my boys to go far.
I really don't want Andy and Kaylee to move far, but I mean, he's getting into engineering. She's getting into law.
So they're
Her
gonna need
family's
to go
over in
to a
Lenore
city,
City, and we're
yeah.
in Cookeville, and it's like, I don't know.
Well, you've grown up with siblings that live far away.
Yeah, but I don't like it.
I don't like. My sister lives 10 hours away, and our kids have
Yeah.
not been able to grow up together
Yeah.
because of that. And you have such strong connections with your first cousins.
Oh, I know.
And if you don't have that, it's kind of like, it's sad.
Well, I've told Mary Beth, like, obviously you want your kids to stay close, obviously.
Yeah.
But I don't want them to think that that's the expectation. I want,
Oh, no,
I want them
no.
to feel like if
They
this
have
is going to
room
make
to
you
grow.
successful and happy, then I want you to go for that. So.
I want them to want it.
Yeah.
I want them
Like
to
you want them to
be
want to
there.
come back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
You don't want it to be forced. You
No,
want them to feel like,
that's exactly
hey, I
right.
want to be close
Yeah.
to mom and dad or whoever it may be.
Well, my Jostens rep came in Thursday, and he's got 3 adult children, and I think he's got a few young grandchildren, and he said that one daughter is in college, and no, she's not. She works for Young Life in Nashville, and she called and said, "I'm going to come in early so I can spend more time with you." And I was like, because she was like, she
And
said,
you know that made him so happy.
well, he said she was like, I don't want to be there when the whole family shows up. I want it to just be like one-on-one. And I was like, wow, I hope my kids are like that. And then he said, well, then my other daughter showed up early, and then my son showed up, and he said, so we were all there, and he said they ended up staying from December the 20th to New Year's Eve.
That's so special, though.
I was thinking, that's cool that your kids wanted to come. Like
Yeah.
that's what, like what you said, Crockett, that's what I want. I want my kids to want to come
Oh, yeah.
home.
That's the goal.
Grandpa Crockett lived on Stinson Road in Allert. His son lived just up the road from him, Gary. His daughters lived on the property back behind him. My dad wound up living nearby as well. His other sons lived in the house with him. His other son lived across town over in the Armathwaite community. We're all right there together. So all of my cousins are either within walking distance or a short drive. And Sunday dinner is at Grandpa's.
Yeah.
Summers, drop your kids off at Grandpa's house while you go to work, and they're all there. And like, we were all together. And or heck, even after work, well, here comes Bill to come pick up the kids, and here's Pam and Pat, and they're in there, and we're all eating dinner together and stuff like that. Like, that is the ideal. I know it's not feasible, but that's the ideal for me. One of the questions I always ask is, why does a play like this probably not make it in high school classrooms or community theater stages or wherever today?
I don't know, but I'll say this really quick. That there's the group that's been wanting to turn Oldham's into a theater.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I don't think that they are anymore. It's that Discover Sparta group. I don't think they even publish that anymore. They were trying to raise $2 million to donate to the city just to create that back into a theater. And I used to think that was the craziest thought. I used to be like, that is crazy. Why? I mean, it would be cool, but you and I have talked about trying to get someone down here to potentially like present and, and I told Mary Beth, I never really understood how valuable like a local theater was until we've been trying to consider this, because there's nowhere in Sparta to say, here, we're going to put on, like you said, like a community play or.
Now, I think they're supposed to incorporate one with the splash pad.
Oh, really?
I
Like
think-
an indoor theater?
Like an outdoor
No,
shell?
like an outdoor.
Yeah, but I'm talking
Like a dogwood.
No,
I'm
I
talking-
get that.
Yeah.
But maybe if that's successful.
Yeah. Because like we had talked about bringing this person to the amphitheater, but I told him like I don't know if there's a green room. I don't know if there's like a proper place to place them and
Right,
like a
prepare.
professional way.
Yeah.
And they
And
don't have there's not backs to the seats, and it's going to be hot
You
or
have to- it's
cold
weather dependent.
or and I just never really realized the value in Just a small theater.
Isn't it wild how our perspective on those types of activities change
Yes.
from where we're teenagers or
Yeah.
young adults into maturing adults, where we think, oh, that would probably be a really good idea.
Yeah.
Whereas before I was like, we
Yeah.
don't need that. Like it's not a priority at that time.
Yeah.
But then you realize, okay, this is what we would want for our children.
But also-
we would want to go when we're adults.
Yeah. But also with that too, I don't think even if we had one as teenagers, we wouldn't realize the value of that.
Oh, no.
We would probably go and be like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then when we became adults, that appreciation would be even higher. It's Mary Beth was last night talking about we used to hike all the time, and we don't take the kids hiking, and we should take the kids hiking. And it reminded me of when we would go to the Smokies with my mom and dad. I thought we were going to go play putt-putt and ride go-karts.
Right.
But we always had to go hiking, always. And at the time when I was a kid, I was like, oh, God. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to go hike. But now I appreciate that because I love the mountains. And when people talk about, have you hiked this trail? Yeah. I've hiked that trail. Like, you can see this. Do you know what I'm saying? And I just think things like that our perspective does change, but also I think we are intaking things that we don't realize. And then when we're adults, it's like, oh yeah, I love to hike because that's always, or I love going to the local theater because it's always been there.
Yeah, I think those are key pieces to our childhood that have been like inserted into our childhood, whether we dreaded them at the time, but it was just a routine or tradition for us. We kind of get out of it because we were like young adult, teenager, and we're consumed with ourselves at those points. But then we realize, okay, we want to bring those traditions back for our kids because it's a sweet memory for us.
Yeah.
And we want them to have those memories.
Well, you were talking about family reunions, and my mom's side of the family, every Christmas, Thanksgiving, everybody would get together. My mom was one of 5, so it was like, oh my gosh, a brood. And I mean, they were from all different flavors too.
Could you imagine if you didn't have them there, what it would be like?
Well, we don't do that anymore. And I know that Dara has tried to get that
And it's a
together,
different feeling,
and they
isn't it?
refused to come. And I told I told Dara, I said, well, you don't have to worry about that because we're kind of building our own now because
your kids will want to come and their kids.
We all got together for Christmas, and it was just giving me flashbacks of that because I've got 3 and she's got 3 and Dalton and Jada have 2, and I was like, oh my gosh, at one point I go, there are kids everywhere, and they were like crawling under the tables and like popping out, and so I don't know, it reminded me a lot about that. So yeah, you appreciate that stuff, I think, when you get older.
Later on,
Yeah.
when you want to instill those in your kids.
Yeah.
I think you answered my next question by saying that. Like, why should we? Because you appreciate, as you get older, you appreciate all of that.
Well, I agree with that.
I think, too, I told you this. One thing that this play's kind of become endearing to me is because Annie did watch it with me, and we got to talk about a lot of stuff with this. Like, I know the obvious racial things, and that was what we got to talk about because I was telling Crockett in the Angela Lansbury production, James Earl Jones drives her to hear Martin Luther King speak, and he's upset because why wouldn't you just ask me like a person? Of course I would want to go see Martin, right? Of course I would.
Why was an invitation any different?
Right, yeah. And so he says they say things are changing, but they're not changing that much. And they have Martin Luther King Jr. like a speech playing in the background while he's just sitting there, like he can hear it and he's listening. And I was kind of getting emotional because I thought, man, I can't imagine like having to, as a person, sit through something like that, And they were showing like images on the back of the stage of like, getting hosed with water hoses, and there was one where they jerked a girl out of her chair and they were hitting her with a club, and Annie was kind of like, why are they doing all of this stuff? And so I got to talk to her about all of that, and they hadn't gone over Martin Luther King before, but she was like, who even is Martin Luther King? So we watched all that stuff. So it's important. I think that it's important for high school kids because I know I've said when I read Night with my honors freshman kids, they were kind of joking about the Holocaust. I think that stuff's kind of become a joke. And I said, okay, we're going to watch this Oprah interview with Elie Wiesel at Auschwitz, and so I said, just be aware, y'all are gonna see some stuff. They were like, yeah, it's the Holocaust, blah blah blah. And I turned it on, and they started showing like images of prisoners, and it got dead quiet.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like dead. And I don't think that there is a realization from our students of, because now you've got people spouting off like that was a hoax, and mainstream media is starting to give those people platforms. They're saying, we're going to argue and debate these people, but you're giving them more credence and more validity, and this message of all these things were not real, and we should go back to these ways and things like that. I just don't think that our students understand the sacrifice and the hardships. And
I definitely agree, because a lot of times the information they're getting is from a social media platform.
That's exactly right.
And that's not always factual.
No.
And I think that they're missing parts of the history context of how we got to where we are.
Yes.
And how some things are the same, some things are different.
That was literally going to be one of my questions on here, because I know I get serious when I ask some of these questions, but is America right? We ask the hard questions and have the hard conversations here, just so you know, for professional development, we do. But we read this in America 2026, and I look out my window, I look through my phone and TV, and I find myself standing here saying that this was not the America I grew up in.
No.
And so is a lighthearted play like Driving Miss Daisy fit to be studied in a high school classroom, or is it what America in 2026 needs?
But it highlights such big ideas.
It does.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are beats of American history, because that we talk about it being a story about age, and we go over 25 years in the course of this play. It starts out in the late 40s and goes into the early 70s. So you're watching America happen in the background while Daisy, Hoke get older. You bring up how Martin Luther King is coming to speak, and Daisy has tickets to it. And Booley is an older businessman by this point, and he's like, well, now, Mama, I don't know that I can go to that. Not because he doesn't like MLK, but because I'll lose business with some of these white boys if I do.
Yeah.
Well, there's America in 2026 that's caught between, well, I may not have voted for this one, but I've got friends that did, and blah, blah, blah. And you're wanting to play nice in front of the camera. Like, heck, we say this all the time, too. Well, maybe I shouldn't say some of this stuff, because we don't want to offend people that we work with or audiences or whatever. Well, that's Driving Miss Daisy, too.
I think that goes back to, you asked me this when we were talking about fences, and I said I think that we're just going to have to say we have to teach these things now, or they're not going to get taught, whether we think that they're ready for them or not, whether we think that they are prepared to handle the maturity of it.
But then they wag their finger at me and say, see, he's indoctrinating kids.
I know that.
And then I stand there and say, well, I hope I don't spit up.
But I think when it has a historical context, I think that
but that's your version of history. It's not the true version
That's
of
what
history.
they tell us now is, well, that's the way he presents
A
it.
guy gave me, when we were going to a previous church, not the church that I'm going to now, not the River Community Church, a previous church. And when he asked me if I was going to be a teacher, I was going through my school and stuff. I was like, yeah. He brought me this set of 1960s history books. And he goes, now these are the real history books. He said, these teach about the real reason we fought in the Civil War. He said, no, you don't think that we fought the Civil War over slavery, do you? And I was like, yeah. Yeah, actually, I think that we do. We were picked on, and this is states. Oh, no. He's like, he goes, you need to go back and read these. So I think that to say, well, this is historic. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but I think I already can hear the argument being presented from the other side towards that.
Heck, even at my doctor's office a little while back, the woman at my doctor's office asked me what my career was, and I said I was a teacher, a high school teacher, and she said, oh, that's fantastic. We need good ones in the classroom. We need good positive male role. And then she said, I just hope you don't teach none of that crap going on. And I was like, what are you implying is the crap? Like what? And she said, oh, and I knew what she was wanting to say. She said, oh, none of that critical theory race stuff. And I was like, listen. And before I could even just say anything, she said, well, the doctor here in this office, who happens to be a man that was born in Africa, she says, we've got a doctor here. He's a black doctor, and he's one of the good ones. And I had to be like, you got to stop talking. Right now, this is way over the line. Like, this is unprofessional. But also, like, you're coming at me. All I did, lady, was say that I'm a teacher.
Right.
And you started going off on this tangent of stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe,
anyways,
maybe Miss Daisy is a play to, I don't know. It's not going to solve things, but.
And it was quick. I mean, it's not a long, drawn out.
It doesn't require
production.
a lot of heat and effort.
I think it brings in Southern culture. I think it brings in different personalities and realizing the maturing adults around you.
If I were going to teach it in class,
personalities.
that's one of the activities I'd like to do is have the kids interview somebody in their Southern family.
I definitely
like
like
I know
that.
that's a Southern lesson, but like connecting somehow with that. But yeah.
Or even while you're reading it, be like, do you have someone like this in your family that you can instantly visualize?
I want them to connect with the older people in their
Yeah.
family.
Because I think we're losing that a lot of times.
I also had a fantastic high school sophomore English teacher, Valerie Voiles, and I remember way back then that she used Billy Joel's song, We Didn't Start the Fire, and she broke it up because it's like, all these different beats from American history to this. And we each had to take a line from it and then present to the class, why was this a significant point of American history? I kind of want to do something like that if I were teaching driving with
Because
Daisy.
they connect to music so much.
And then
That's
look at
their
how it's in the
life.
background of your parents. Or we could even rewrite it from something like 1995 to 2025, something like that.
You act like 1995 so far away, girl.
Sister, I had to hit the brakes the other day. I had to hit the brakes. If Marty McFly went back in time 30 years from 1985 to 1955,
Stop it. I don't want to hear it.
nowadays he's going to go back to 1996. He's going to land in
sixth grade.
Yeah. I was a junior in high school.
How old were you, Drew?
I was 5 years old.
He was 5.
I'm that much older than you?
95,
How old are you right now?
36.
We're sitting here past, present, and future.
you
I'm the
see
old
my
Miss
facial
Daisy.
reaction
Still the
right now.
youngest.
I like
Still the
that
youngest.
we've been doing this whole episode like car ride karaoke where I've been driving you all around town and
yeah.
Jaclyn's been sitting in the back.
Yeah.
And Drew's up here like Booley. Hey, don't get any ashes on my dash there.
Well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this.
Thank you for coming down.
Yeah.
We'll do another one
Okay,
sometime.
great. Let me know.
I told you I'd get political.
Well, it's okay. It's okay.
Second Stage is a Free Zone radio production, recorded here in Sparta, Tennessee. If you enjoyed the show, please give it a like, share it, subscribe for more. Word of mouth truly is the best advertising. And if you want to hear more, look up our other podcast, With Honors, now in its second season, and our brother podcasts, A Dead Man's Books and Haston Curations.
Hey everyone, my name is Drew, and I want to talk to you about my show, A Dead Man's Books. The show was created with the mindset of whenever I pass away, as morbidly as that sounds, that my children would inherit my books, and of all the things that I'm going to pass down to them, I think that that's the one thing that I want them to make sure that they keep and go through on their own time, but I want to be there next to them whenever they read these things. And so I created a podcast so that they could go back and listen to me and my friends and other people as we read through these books and what we had to think about it. But it's grown to so much more. We've got authors we interview. We talk about everyday life. We talk about how literature connects to life, all of those things in one place. And now we want you to come along with us and join us. This is a podcast not just for my kids, but for everyone who loves to read, everyone who loves a good story, everyone who's a parent, everyone who's a teacher, everyone who just enjoys literature. This is a place to come. So come join us every Monday on A Dead Man's Books.